Mystery of steppe Amazons, risen from the ashes. Fearlessness, courage, independence. Who are they? Did they exist? Steppe Amazons, is this a legend, myth of half-hidden mystery? In different ages, bush telegraph settled Amazons almost around the whole globe. But scientists, gleaning that little information left by these amazingly attractive women warriors, have found answers for some questions only.
Есть невидимые человеческому глазу вещи.
There are invisible things for human eye that we take for analysis and extract some microscopic details. In the result, they open the whole picture to us. And from these particles, we have formed a picture of how she looked like earlier. People worshipped them and were afraid of them. They could predict an outcome of war, they could cure, they could predict further events, and so on. Their ethnic group is very important. Moreover, they existed throughout almost 7 to 8 centuries. It is a very long historic period, which surely demands large scientific research. It is very interesting, as it gave us a more complete answer about this culture and this history. It is very interesting. Steppe sun hits especially mercilessly. Wormwood and bushes of black thorn are hardly seen in floating air. There is no any sound, and only in the evening larks and tawny pipits come to life. For many ages, the Great Steppe was the only land route connecting the West with the East. The steppe has become a cradle for a chain of nomadic cultures that were born on the great spaces of Asia. According to one of the legends, Alexander the Macedonian for the first time met with unusual maiden warriors when he reached Central Asia. He was wondered. Ancient Europeans considered women either hetera or a shy person clothed in Jainism, a part of a house designed for women. Obviously, freedom-loving Asian women that he met seemed to be fictitious beings to him. The legends say that a whimsicality was added by the fact that these freedom-loving ladies burnt out their right breast to direct all power flow into the right hand that later perfectly coped with double-edged axe. Thus, from millennium to millennium, this myth about Amazons entered in epic poetry and became the subject of fine art. And maybe the story of steppe Amazons would just remain a beautiful legend if there were no tiny traces left from the past, which are observed so scrupulously by the scientists.
Погребение женщины, она погребена в виде всадника, если вы посмотрите вот на ноги, причем со всем инвентарем, который...
Burial of a woman. She was buried in a horseman position. If you look at her legs, with all her things that she needed in another world. Look here, please. There is a ceramic jar at the head. This is a foreign ceramic jar made on a pottery wheel. Also on the right side there is a fragment of a censer which is also seen at her feet on the right side. On the neck you can see fragments of tiny beads that are strung and put around the neck. There is a knife on the right side.
И которые обвиты вокруг шеи. С правой стороны также, если вы обратите внимание, железный нож.
The scientists suppose that the found remains of a woman refer to the tribe of legendary Sarmatians or Savromots.
Это будет тоже одним из таких вот маленьких открытий.
It will be one of small discoveries, but I should say about date. Originally it dates back to 4th, 3rd century BC. These were Sarmatians who lived in our great steppes of South Shiruls. Studying of Savramat Sarmatian culture, I think it is a very important period and important direction in Kazakhstani archaeology. The point is that Savramats and Sarmatians lived on the territory of West Kazakhstan, partially in Ataral and Aktobe regions, and in Russia on the territory of Samara, Orenburg, Saratov region, Povolzhye and Sechurals. This is the area where Savramats lived. With the beginning of field works, scientists, archaeologists hurried to this place in West Kazakhstan region near the city of Uralsk. But first time they came here occasionally. Local tractor driver involved in seasonal works has found a wonderful silver jar. Thus, the new exhibit helped Kazakhstani specialists to find new burial mound Taksai. And what was the most interesting here is that we have first found such exhibit items as a comb. There is a scene of battle on the chariots. The Persians attacked the Saka. Saka warriors stopped them. It is a very beautiful scene. In general, this comb plays a great role from the perspective of source, from perspective of uniqueness, from the perspective of such rare material. Probably it shows a scene of some historic event. This is one of unique findings.
Мне очень было интересно изучать гребень, если честно, потому что...
To be frank, it was very interesting for me to observe the comb, because it is so expressive in conveys emotions in this little man's head with all his rush. The theme that they wanted to show is readable there, and a million questions appear. How is it? What is it? When did it appear? What does this chariot look like? Search of analogues begins on our territory and in cross-border regions. Practically all things were valuable among the found pieces. Archaeologists attach particular importance to these findings and have high hopes on them. This burial mound will help explain the question about mythic Amazons. At least the research of bone remains confirms that there are women bones among the found ones. We have found two burials. Women's burials are oriented to the southwest and beheaded. This is some kind of burial ceremony. By the way, there is a central pit. We found a central pit with the sides of 570 on 540, with depth of 350 from benchmark, in which a burial of woman from the upper class was found. She is from privileged class, because she was dressed in a very rich clothing which was embroidered with golden plates. The burial mound gave a huge layer of information. Golden jewels and plates were made of high-carat gold, made with dimorphic ornament. More often, griffins and carnivores with eagle's head were imaged there. In the burial mound of a noble Sarmatian woman, there were the subjects of ceremonial purpose, jars and devices for application of tattoos. Archaeologists suggest that the buried woman was a sacrificer. We call her sacrifice of fertility because there are some characteristics. There are solar symbols on it. At first, there is a cauldron and roaster among her things. There are temporal pendants. These are seeds. These are mulberry and pepper, all kinds of berries, and so on. Sacrifice of fertility, risen from the ashes, Taksai princess, Altin Hanshaim. All this is about one sensational finding that aroused the entire scientific world. This finding is important and unique for several reasons.
Таксайская принцесса, но ее сейчас величают как возрожденную из пепла. С чем это связано?
Taksai princess, but now she is called as the risen from the ashes. What is the reason for that? The burial is unique. When she was buried, the burial was covered by big logs, and then it was completely burnt, covered with soil and masked.
Когда дошли, мы обнаружили, что там органика, и потом горелое дерево. Надо было их сохранить. Стояла 40-градусная жара с ветерком.
When we reached it, we discovered that there is an organic matter and then burnt wood. It was necessary to preserve them. It was 40 degrees above zero with light wind. They turned into ash. For this reason, they called us, and when we arrived, it was found out that it is really untouched in city. There was a woman buried wearing rich clothing with jewels. Next to her, there was a log construction. All were burnt. They had such ceremony. And then, naturally, they turned into charcoal. They were preserved due to the soil moisture. We took out the parts of a woman who laid there next to the log construction. We took as much as possible by blocks. In other words, we took her right hand by blocks with jewels and soil and preserved it. It is exhibited now too. At the same time, to imagine what it was like in the original appearance, its full reconstruction was made. We were lucky that the hoop of the head made of gold was preserved, and it allowed us to understand its form and size. Thus, we have got a graceful and beautiful headwear. I think that it is a unique monument that is preserved in city after the Golden Man.
Одна из уникальных, я считаю, это уникальный памятник, который сохранился in-city после Золотого человека.
I think that Altyn Hanshaim is of global importance because the Sarmatians are the ancestors of the following nomadic civilizations, practically in this region of Ural and Povolzhye. Later, they spread all over Eurasia. Over the years, the historians more or less tried to identify Savramat women with the Amazons, but is that so or not? The picture is not clear. But mysterious women warriors become not less but maybe more interesting for anyone who gets to know them better and studies their period.
Это савраматский период, в кавычках называется, да? Почему Savramat?
This is called Savramat period in quotes. Why Savramat period in quotes? Currently, archaeologists argue whether the Savramats existed or not. It was proved that there were no Savramats on our territory, but at the same time, we tell that 6th to 4th century is the period of early nomads of Savramat type. Thus, at the time when Savramats lived here, they were early nomads, and their culture was similar. It copied each other, and that is why we tell early nomads of Savramat type.
Друг в друге, и поэтому мы говорим ранние кочевники савраматского типа.
The Sarmatians and many other nomads disappeared a long time ago. They were displaced by more strong and numerous tribes. It seems that they did not leave anything except the legends. But these discoveries say opposite.
Сарматам принадлежит, так скажем, еще один нюанс, что они сооружают...
Sarmatians have one more nuance. They built their burial mounds. They made ditches around the mounds. What they were made for? There could be a lot of versions. One of the major versions is that it was some kind of burial ritual ceremony. It had some kind of sacred meaning.
Было своего рода имеющее сакральное значение.
Обратите внимание, пожалуйста, на стены. Если вы обратите внимание на стены, то здесь вот следы мечей, как раскапывалась эта яма.
Pay attention to the walls, please. If you look at these walls, you see the traces of swords. This pit was dug 2,300 years ago. Here are the swords. Here are the traces of the swords. These are knives of Akinax and swords. You can see the width of the sword. Here is the trace of this rope. This is the ancient track of lasso with help of which they went down over here. They lifted the soil and then put all these materials down. It is very interesting, informative, substantial burial. Informative material that brings very much interesting into already discovered material on Sarmatian history.
Внесет очень много интересного в уже открытые материалы сарматской истории.
The most of Sarmatian mounds are located in the area of arable lands, and for this reason they are level to the landscape. Archaeologists suggest that there are many royal mounds among them that can bring sensational discoveries. According to Herodotus, the Sarmatians and the Savromats appeared from the union of Amazons and Iaphians. A heiress of this union, a Sarmatian woman, occupied high position in the society. She brought up children, went hunting, and even belonged to the military community of the tribe. Scientists think that the women headed some Sarmatian tribes. It is possible that Sarmatian women found in West Kazakhstan had such power and exceptional position in the society. National Museum of History in Astana keeps one of reconstructions of Tuksai princes, and also the things that were found in this region. They open up a completely unknown world of complicated characters and subjects of material culture of ancient Sarmatia.